Welcome to our new topic, which is trigonometry. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of what National 5 trigonometry looks like, we're going to have a look at what you've done before, which is good old classic SohCahToa. We use SohCahToa in order to find a missing side or angle, and there's a really important piece of information here. It has to be a right angle triangle. Okay? You can't use SohCahToa if you've not got a right angled triangle. Now, we've established both of these are right angled, believe it or not. So we've then got to remember, how do we use SohCahToa? So first off, on this side, this is for a missing angle. They both start the exact same. So both of them, I want you to write out, even though it's exhausting for you, SohCahToa. And then you look at the information you've been given. And we need to be careful about what that represents. So we've got the angle, we've got the opposite side to the angle. We've not got the adjacent, so it's the adjacent that's side by side with it. But we have got the hypotenuse. Now remember, the hypotenuse is the longest side on a triangle. So over here, we've got the hypotenuse. We are looking for the opposite. And we've got no information at all about the adjacent, and we don't really care about it because we're not trying to find that information out. But what do we have? We have the opposite, so we tick, and we have the hypotenuse, so we tick. Whichever one of these has the two ticks gets circled, and that tells us whether we are using sine, cos, or tan. Our formula, therefore, get this right, it's going to be sine of the angle x equals opposite over hypotenuse. Substitute in our information. So the opposite was 6, the hypotenuse was 9. It is important that these are both in the same unit. So we can't have it if one's meters and one's centimeters, because this is all about a ratio, and a triangle with 9 meters as a hypotenuse is going to look really different from the triangle with 9 centimeters as a hypotenuse. So long as you make sure they're just both centimeters, that's us sorted. I'm just going to push this up a wee bit. So sine x equals 6 over 9, but we can't get that straight away. We've got to solve for x. And this is a neat little trick. We know opposite operations, like positive on one side, negative on the other, multiplication on one side, division on the other. We've even talked about squaring it on one side, means it has to be square rooted on the other side. This is the other one that's really good to know. If it's sine on this side, it is what we call sine inverse. It does the opposite on the other side. And it's sine with a little 1. Now, you may run into issues typing this in onto a calculator on the computer because sometimes they work back to front. So bear it in mind, and if you have a problem, get into contact with me. But on a normal Casio calculator, we get to just type in sine inverse, which is that yellow one up above. So we have to hit the button with the yellow above it and then hit sine. Sine inverse 6 divided by 9 equals. And we have 41 point, let's do 81. If you're ever in doubt, just do it to a couple of decimal places. There's no harm with an extra decimal place. What I would recommend, which I haven't done, so I'll just have to do it now, is before you round, you write out the whole thing. So I'll do it properly now. Write out the whole thing that it comes up with and then round it. And the reason for that, we've talked about before, if I'm marking your tests and you haven't given me the unrounded and then you round it incorrectly, I can't give you those marks and it's incredibly upsetting as a marker. So that's for a missing angle. This one's for a missing side. And as I said, we start the same way. So we write out SohCahToa. Okay? Now, there are two ways of doing this. Now this is as good as any other. So we tick off the information we have, which is H. We have sine, so if you want to, you can tick off the sine cos tan part. And then we put a little question mark next to the O, because that's what we're looking for. Now whichever one has all three things, that's the one we're going for. If you've chosen not to tick your sine, your cos and your tan, you've just ticked the H and question mark the O, it's the one with the two pieces of information with it, because this one in that situation would only have H and this would only have O, so they wouldn't give us what we want. So once again we're using sine, coincidentally. So we're going to write out sine x equals opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite, well that's what we're, sorry, sine, and we put in x, which is 40. Opposite is, we don't know, so that's an x. This will quite often happen in questions, and you need to not panic if x is here and here, okay? Because when you substitute in, you're getting rid of that x and replacing it with another one over here. Over 10. We've got to solve for x, so we're dividing on this side, it's going to be multiplying when it comes across. So we have 10 times sine 40 equals x. I don't have to do any fancy shift buttons, I can just do 10 times sine 40 equals, and I get a lovely long horrible answer. So it's x equals 6.42787, and I've not got space, dot dot dot, which I'll round to 6.4 meters. And remember to put your units on the end there. The last thing I'm going to give you a quick reminder of is the other two equations, so you can refer to it. We have sine x equals opposite over hypotenuse. We have cos x is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and we have tan x is equal to opposite over adjacent. And if you've got that information and you're happy with it, that's the revision of SohCahToa for you.